Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Heel Team 6 Wrestling is proud to present the Bodega Wrestling Podcast. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Bodega Wrestling Podcast. Today we have a special show because Heel Team 6 Wrestling on Mr. Chef is here with us with a special guest that we are going to interview. So without further ado, Mr. Chef, how are you today, sir?
I'm pretty good, especially when you introduce me as not the hater or the bad guy or all that other fanatic and stuff that you always do. But I'm excited. I'm a big fan of who we bring on today. I'm going to let you say the man's name because, like I said, I love this man's work. So go ahead, brother.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have the one and only Mr. Ryzin. Mr. Ryzin, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you guys?
Doing good, man. How where you are right now? Is that hot or cold?
Oh, it's hotter than hell where I'm at.
Damn. So that means you're in hell right now, or you were somewhere hot though?
I'm in Hellgate, Florida.
Oh, okay, so it's definitely hot.
Yes.
He's a local brother. It only gets as hot. Well, actually, you know what? I'm not even going to say nothing because he does do a lot of work in Texas, and that is a different type of hot.
Oh, yeah. Texas is different type of heat. Yeah, right now I'm stuck here in 36-degree weather, but it's supposed to be 60 on Wednesday, so we're looking forward to that.
Ooh, climbing on up.
Yeah, it's upstate New
It's
York.
cold in Florida.
Yeah, it's upstate New York where, it's 60 degrees one day and then 2 days later we have a snowstorm. So, but it's supposed to be spring, so we'll see what happens, man. All right, so Chef, what's the first question you got for Mr. Ryzin today?
I didn't want to jump right into the book. Excuse me, still a little under the weather. I didn't want to jump right into the book. I want to save that as like tail end of it. It's a question I didn't get to ask the last time I spoke to him. And I want to jump right into that because I think it's a good segue for wrestling fans to understand. If you had a dream match, who would it be?
Oh boy. Well, let's see. I mean, it's hard to say because I think the vast majority of people who came up in my era would say Shawn Michaels without a doubt. I was a huge Bret Hart fan. Speaking of which, him and Anvil are getting in the Hall of Fame today. So just announced.
Yes.
For those who are, I know this is a little pre-recorded, but this is Monday night. We are right now. And so I was excited to hear that news earlier today.
Is this his fourth time getting inducted now? Bret Hart?
Just a second.
His second, okay.
Oh, he got inducted as Bret Hart, and now he's going in as the Hart Foundation?
The Hart Foundation, yeah.
Correct. But unfortunately, it's only him and Anvil. I wish it was the whole troop.
The whole troop, yeah.
Foundation.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
For sure. You have DX and then maybe the Hart Foundation. It would have been nice to kind of get in both groups.
Okay. So if instead of going old school, like is there somebody like newer, you know what I mean? Like somebody presently right now that's doing it or someone you say, man, I wish I just had a match against this guy.
Oh, okay. Let's see. On the current roster or current talents out there, I would love to do something with Aleister Black. I think that would be fantastic given our creative characters and, the similar kind of dark, brooding story. Mine's a little more outlandish, a little more over the top. So that makes sense. A lot of other things that I've thought of, outside of the WWE would be, I would like to team with Rosemary. I think that's a very similar, cohesive unit. As a matter of fact, I know in a ways back when I was kind of testing the waters and trying to get something rolling with Impact, we had a discussion about being part of the Decay. I think that would have been a natural transition. And currently what they're doing with Father James Mitchell, again, I think a lot of that all kind of points directly at my current character and things that I have going on. So that would be really cool as well. But I guess Aleister Black on the WWE roster.
I
You know
would,
what, Jorge?
I would have loved to have seen him go up against Gangrel.
Hey, you know what? That could still happen. He runs shows here in Florida. I'm here in Florida. Like, that could definitely happen. A lot of the things that, I think of a lot of, I believe a lot in manifestation and all that kind of stuff, the law of attraction. So I really think that an opportunity to wrestle Gangrel wouldn't be too far off in the future. And I believe if I put it out in the universe, then likely it would come back. So
Yes.
I don't see that. I see that as something that could potentially happen. Same with teaming with Rosemary. I could foresee that happening in the future. So when we're talking outside of things like Bret Hart and kind of fantasy booking, a lot of these that I would mention for a current standing, I think it's very possible that could happen.
And
Jorge, you know what you
yeah,
you know
no,
what
go
you
ahead,
gotta
Trev.
do? You gotta start tweeting this stuff out. You gotta start doing it, brother. You have the account. You gotta start making it out there. But once again, you did hear he said Aleister Black, one of my favorites. This is why I like the guy. We're on. We think alike. I'm just saying, Ryzin is a smart guy, and if you follow his social media, not only is he a smart guy, he cleans up well. I've seen it myself.
Well,
Well, thank you. I can go from quite brooding to devilishly handsome.
well, I'm surprised when you asked him what the match is. I'm surprised he didn't say Drew McIntyre rematch.
Third time's the charm. But the way that he's, the way that he's performing now, I mean, you saw I had my hands full with him both times, Impact and NXT. He has transcended even further now. He is ruthless. So this day and age, I would probably need a little assistance. I would probably. I mean, he's a fantastic talent. I think that, but he's on the ascension to the top of the WWE. Absolutely. I mean, that there's no argument there.
Corey, what you got for the man?
Well, I was going to ask, since you're a wrestler, I mean, what was your first taste that wanted you to get into wrestling itself?
Pretty much as far back as I can remember, when I was a young boy, I remember being put in front of the TV, and so we're talking late 80s, early 90s. So being in that era of bright, colorful, cartoon-like characters, the Warrior, Macho Man, Big Boss Man, Hogan, of course, anything like that. I mean, that just drew me in. And then on top of that, purchasing the action figures and things of that nature, it just grew into an addiction that never subsided. A lot of people, I'm really into this, but then they get a little older and then maybe they fall off the wagon. And that could be with anything. That's not just with professional wrestling. That could be with Transformers or G.I. Joe or whatever. But my obsession just grew and grew and grew. And it became all that I have ever wanted to do. And, and I've been just hell-bent and determined, if you would, to get to that level. And it's just been something that's never subsided. So I'm relentless in my pursuit. And I think regardless of whether I land in the WWE or something, with all of these other opportunities that keep arising, I think that there's a lot of opportunity out there with, and writing this book and stuff. Who knows where this can take? I think that there's a lot of different paths these days that could lead to the promised land, whatever that may be.
Okay.
Sweet.
Now I'm a huge fan of art. I love your gear. It's like it's so tailored to your character. It's amazing. But there's also a spin of the Joker. So I'm curious, for your art, is it based on comic book characters or movie villains? What is this piecing? Because there's times where I see a lot of your art is you, but it seems like a touch of something else.
Yeah, I mean, inspiration comes from anywhere. I definitely think that a lot of the inspiration that goes into the character comes from movie villains and a lot of that kind of stuff. I'm a huge horror fanatic. If you've seen my social media and anybody listening, jump online right now and check me out. Instagram, Hail Ryzin. Twitter, Hail Ryzin. Very easy to find. And that's RYZIN for those keeping track. But yeah, so movie villains have definitely been a huge part of the creation of the characters. So the Joker, a little bit, if I was going to go with one of the Jokers, I would say that he's more Jack Nicholson Joker, or more even the animated series Joker, something in that realm, if I were to put him in the category at all. But again, it's kind of a mishmash of so many different things. Captain Spaulding from House of a Thousand Corpses, and all of Rob Zombie's films. It has a lot to do with it. Beetlejuice was a huge part of it as well. The television show Lucifer. It really is, literally, I took a little bit of everybody, threw it in a blender, mixed it up, and then out came Reverend Ryzin. So that's overall how it had grown into who I am today.
Now, you mentioned House of a Thousand Corpses. Oh my God, I love that movie. It's sick. It's sick. It's demented. It's twisted. I saw that movie and I was just like, afterwards, like, what the hell that just happened? And that's still kind of just see it. Up, oh my God, I love it.
Yeah. So Jorge, we talk every day. We literally talk every day. You've never once mentioned horrors. We bring a guy from hell and all of a sudden it comes out.
Hey man, I gotta keep some mystery to myself. Can't tell you everything.
All right, no, my fault. Just kind of caught me off guard. I was like, never even knew you liked horror stuff.
Dude, every Rob Zombie movie that he's ever made, I own on DVD.
Okay.
Even the 2 Halloween movies that he did.
Fantastic.
Oh man, I love it, especially that House of a Thousand Corpses. Dude, like, I'm serious, bro. I had a date, and me and that date saw that movie for the first time. Let's just say the day was over after that movie. She said, "Take me home." I'm like, all right.
Okay, now here goes the question everybody's talking about with AEW.
Oh boy.
I know. I had to ask it. What do you think going forward? How do you feel there's opportunities for people like yourself and everyone else who is kind of, like, you're trying to land a home, Impact, ROH, New Japan, whichever one, but AEW is the hot topic. So somebody had asked me, hey, you got to ask about AEW. So I said, okay, I'll ask about AEW, and I got to put you on the spot, brother. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's another avenue for anybody to get work. So bravo to them. I know that, I've been following them as close as I can possibly can to make sure that, if there's any and all opportunity that, that would be welcoming for me. Of course, I'm all ears for it. I'm 100%. But anywhere that multiple, these multiple companies and professional wrestling is flourishing, and there are these options, and AEW is just an extension of those options, and I do hope they succeed. It drives me batshit crazy when there's people on social media and stuff who are diehard professional wrestling fans that are trashing, oh, this is going to be the next WCW, or it's going to fail, or this and that, and that kind of stuff. I mean, like, of course, anything negativity I could just turn a blind eye to, but why would you want something to fail? So 100%, I would be all in if ever. See what I did there? I would be all in if given the opportunity. And anybody who is in professional wrestling who says that they wouldn't, they're lying to themselves. Whether it's the WWE, which I absolutely love and adore, and I love my time that the opportunities I've had within the WWE, whether it's the tryout at the Performance Center or the multiple times I've wrestled on NXT television. So, of course, if they open their door, I would jump right through it. And AEW is the same, Impact's the same. And there's other companies, out here as well that are getting television deals and stuff of that nature. But the one big thing that I'm such a creative person, and I have such grandiose ideas as far as the character and stuff of that, and the way that I want it portrayed, is it would be hard to let go of some of that stuff given if I was, in an AEW or a WWE NXT, anything like that, because I really, really do feel, and again, when we go to discussing the book, that right there shows me that not only is the character something that works, but it's something that can transcend professional wrestling. It can be something that multiple different people from multiple different walks of life can come in and become part of this character. It is like a movie. My character can be more than a professional wrestler. And so hopefully with something like AEW, if I ever get the chance, that they would let the character flourish as Reverend Ryzin throughout.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the one thing, and I've mentioned it to you, to talking with you, that watching your Instagram is like kind of like the old school like horror movie, like how you have your backdrop and everything else, and it just looks so authentic, and it's a character that you don't see. Like, I think you have a completely original character. There's nothing on the industry right now that reminds me of what you do, and you do tailor your character unbelievably. Like and he's already put his Hail at Hail Ryzin. Please follow it and subscribe to everything this guy does. You're going to be entertained. You know what I mean? Like, this is someone who loves what he does. You know what I mean? He's extremely passionate about what he's building and everything else. Jorge, I know he's dying to talk about the book, and you've created this show, so I want you to do the honors and start asking him about the book so we can get into that.
All right, so we have this coming out on April 1st, which is hold on, it's an April 1st, April Fool's Day.
Yeah,
interesting.
It's no April Fool's joke. This is really happening.
So it could be a joke or it could be not a joke, but the book is called Hell of a Confession: True Riskiest Tales, graphically told by those who lived it. So now by seeing this, and it says True Riskiest Tale, the part that says graphically told by those who lived it, are these like stories from people or?
Yes. So if you do follow me on social media at Hail Ryzin, for those of you listening, every Friday I do Confession Friday as part of the Reverend Ryzin aesthetic. I am the preacher to the creatures. I am a reverend of sin. And every Friday I open up my Instagram story for confession. And within that confession, I ask the questions that people don't dare ask, because you are able to answer them anonymously. So things like, did you cheat on your spouse? Have you ever, stolen money from somebody? Have you, any questions that people would never admit publicly, I am able to put on this confession. People are able to respond because their results, the results of each question every Friday, remain completely anonymous. And it's quite eye-opening when you do say something along those lines of, like, have you ever gotten it on in public? And then your response, you get to see just the percentage of people who are viewing that story, and it's literally in the thousands. It has definitely taken off far further than I had ever imagined. And to be able to see, wow, I'm not so strange. I'm not so, what's the word I'm looking for? Everybody has a little bit of a dark side to them. Yeah. Everybody has a sensual side, an erotic side. And so this really showcases that without giving it away. If you have a fantasy, if you have something like that, if you've done something illegal, again, there's different aspects of it. So what had transpired by my Confession Friday is through my website, www.ryzin.tv. I actually put up a part on the website where you could submit your anonymous tales, and at that time, during a limited time, I was mailing those individuals free I Confessed to Ryzin bracelets that say I Confessed. They have pentagrams on them, and then they have Reverend Ryzin on the other end of them. And I was giving those out in response to people telling me their dirtiest, raunchiest, most thought-provoking tales that they've never told anybody.
Wow.
You know, Jorge, and I'm not trying to cut the man off, but I definitely own a bracelet. I'm just saying.
Oh, I know you got a lot of tales.
I'm just saying, I wear it. You know what's crazy, Ryzin? Like, I work for Universal and Harry Potter, right? Like, it's my spot I work at, and all they've seen for months was a black band because they don't really pay attention. Our clothes is black and gray. And one day, one of my bosses walks up and he's like, "Why do you always wear that?" I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "The black band." I said, "Oh, that's my black band. Don't worry about it." So he sits there. So I'm going to lunch with the guy. I go to slide over his stuff. And he goes, "Is that a pentagram on it?" I was like, "No, it's just a black band." He's like, "Can I see it?" I was like, "No, you can't see it." So he does look at it. He's like, "Dude, what is that?" I was like, "Well, I can show you." And he's like, So I show him. And I'm like, "Look, dude, this is my man's stuff." Like, and he's like, "I'm so tempted to say something." I was like, "So say it. Just don't tell me." I don't know if he ever did, but he had this smile on his face the next time I seen him, like a week later. He's like,
"Oh yeah."
Hey. He's like, "Hey." I was like, "What's up?" He goes, "I don't want to say if I did or didn't." And he just like had that cheesy Kool-Aid smile, and I was like, "Oh snap!" He said something. So I don't know if he's got anything. I don't know, but
There's
definitely
only one way to find out, and that would be to purchase the book and read for yourself. Now, granted, everybody is anonymous within the book, but if you if you know the guy well enough, you might be able to sniff it out, just like our listeners may be able to pick up a copy on their own and sniff your story out.
Oh no, I've told a lot of people, and they're ready. Like they're like, "We got to get this book," and they're like, "If it's, I don't want to go broke. Like I got enough little bills myself." But I made a bet with 10 of my guys because I'm like, "If you get that book, and you can pick out, I'll give you $5." And they're like, $5? I'm like, "Well, listen, if you all get it right, I'm dropping like 50, 60 beans out here." You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
So they're like, "Oh man," but I don't think there's. First off, I don't know of a wrestler who's made a book like this ever before, so this is completely unique.
There isn't one. That's and that's the point of it. That's why I said this is definitely going to transcend the professional wrestling world. Reverend Ryzin is becoming more than professional wrestling. Yes, professional wrestling might be my vessel in which I am able to preach to the congregation, if you would, and be able to perform for these people and travel the world and be able to promote the book and things like that. But really, I could see the book not only taking off, but being something that we would have Hell of a Confession 2, Hell of a Confession 3. Just similar to, I always equate it to Chicken Soup for the Soul. Now, granted, that's an opposite spectrum of what my book entails, but really the same premise. People are able to submit their stories, and the stories that I've gotten are from all over the world. My jaw had hit the floor when I had seen things from Germany, France, Italy, Mexico, all over the entire world had caught wind of this and wanted to submit their tales as well. So this is not just, a United States-based book. There are literally tales from all over the world. And the great thing about that is that in these other countries, their normal would probably knock you off your chair here in the States. There's things that they have done. There are stories in here that I've had some test readings that make people gag, that make people's jaws hit the floor. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable some of the stuff people openly confessed within this book.
That's got to make you feel like, holy shit, good.
Now, my question
it absolutely does.
Well, I wanted to ask a question. Like, if I read the book, should I have holy water next to me, or that I could just throw on myself afterwards, or?
Well, and that's the good thing about this as well, is it's all over the place. There are a couple of very horrific, brutal, dark, menacing stories within the book. There's some humorous tales. There's some very like laugh out loud, funny, almost cheesy, childlike stories, and then there are just some straight up erotica within the pages that would make 50 Shades of Grey blush.
Oh wow!
Whoa! Shit! Okay, now, and it's, Jorge, it's funny because Ryzin can tell you himself. I've talked to him, and it's something that when he had first said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing a book," and I was super hyped up, right? And then he's like, it might be coming soon. Just take, and I'm just like, dude, like, you gotta let me know. You gotta let me know. So to be able to have him, so we can talk to him about the book and everything else, I think is super cool because, like I said, I'm a fan of this guy, and I do love the fact when people do something that's out of the box. No one has done this, and this is a first, and it's definitely going to take off. I mean, just the response that you're getting from people all over the world, just not United States side, is absolutely amazing. And I'm definitely getting a copy. And the cool part is there's so many different variations where you can get this. There's no way that somebody can say, well, I don't know how to get it because there's so many. Like, can you tell them how easy it is to get this?
Absolutely. So the main vessel that is going to be transporting this book is through the biggest global company in the world, and that, of course, is Amazon.com. So it is going to be available on Amazon, on paperback, or through your Kindle device. So that's going to be, that's worldwide right there. I have already produced it in multiple languages, so it is not only getting the U.S. book, you can get a paperback copy in China, in Japan, in Australia, anywhere in the world. You are able to order this book, and they are tailoring it to each language. So it truly is a worldwide book. But paperback, you're able to order it. If you have Kindle, you can order it on Kindle. Now, the great thing about paperback is, for those of you who have checked out the social media by now, which is at Hail Ryzin, you will see just how much time and effort went into the design of the book. I'm extremely proud of how beautiful the cover looks, how it all came together. So I recommend the paperback. And then, of course, all of the live events that I'm working from here going forward, as of the drop date, I will have copies on hand, and I will raise the price a little bit for the simple fact that I'm going to be getting them in mass production. And, of course, live and in action, I will be able to tailor the book to you guys, specifically the fan, and be able to autograph the book right then and there in your hand.
Well, just to let you know, I get a headache from reading a lot. So what I'm doing is, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait for Netflix to hit you up and do like a 13-part episode of the book. Then I can actually really see the words come out, in color.
Jorge, I don't think Netflix will be able to handle that book.
Hey man, Netflix handles everything honest, nowadays.
Yes, but to be completely honest, I don't even know if Pornhub would pick up this.
Oh, damn.
It is, some of these tales are that graphic. Of course, I welcome any and all offers if Netflix wants to come at me and produce a video version of this book, but I really can't imagine a scenario where that happens. And hey, so, Jorge, are you married?
I'm divorced.
You're divorced.
Yes.
Do you have a girlfriend?
I do not.
Well, on your Friday night dates, you're going to ask your girl to come over. You don't have to read. Just kick back, lay back, let her read you a couple of chapters, and you're in the promised land. That's how good this book is.
Then I'll be doing that this Friday or Saturday then.
Listen, Jorge, the man just hooked you up. Well, he got you out of the friend zone, bro.
Well, the whole thing is I have to wait till April 1st when it comes out. So download it on my phone and then go on a date and then have them read the book to me.
That's what he said. Well, Ryzin is not only. Listen, he is now the sinful bliss to you getting yours.
Well, the funny thing is, since you guys been talking the whole time, I've actually took an idea that Ryzin mentioned about social media, and I've actually been tweeting a lot through the whole interview. So hopefully, I could get a date out of Twitter. Get a lady, or after April 1st, get somebody to read the book for me. But like Netflix, just take the erotica stuff out and just keep it all, into the horror stuff. So.
You take the erotica out, it's going to be a 4-minute movie. YouTube might as well pick it up.
Well, you said you had horror, you have comedy and stuff. So we got to keep it at least PG-13 R-rated R at least for Netflix. For Netflix.
Who wants to read that?
I don't want to read that. Listen, you got to keep the process the way it is.
But it's Netflix. Netflix has a budget we got to keep.
Hey, do you know anybody in Netflix? Because if you do, then talk to them on behalf of Ryzin. If you don't know nobody, forget Netflix.
Maybe Amazon, Hulu. I don't know. We could talk to somebody.
Anyway, well, we're talking 30 chapters in this book. It is a 30-chapter book, but they are short stories, so don't be intimidated by that. It's only a 150-page book. And again, graphic tales as told by those who lived them. So there is, literally nothing was off cuffs. It was whatever you wanted to say. I left it wide open to them. I used my discretion as what went into the book. I probably have enough submissions to do another second chapter or a third chapter of this book, but I'm going to hold off because the ones that I have handpicked for Hell of a Confession are the cream of the crop as of right now.
Okay.
Nice. Okay. So before we get out of here, is there anything else you want to plug? Because I don't know if they've been listening, but you could definitely plug social media again and whatever else you want to plug.
Well, absolutely. If you guys are listening to this, and I know you are, you need to follow me at Hail Ryzin. That's Ryzin. And my apologies there. At Hail Ryzin is where you will find me. And so that is on Twitter, that is on Instagram. You could find my fan page on Facebook. And go nuts. Literally, it is the most interactive social media that is out there today. You are able to go to confession every Friday through Reverend Ryzin. Sit down and answer these questions that you would never tell a soul. And when you do that, you might learn a little something about yourself. You might learn a little something about somebody else. So follow me on social media and definitely buy the book. The book is literally, it may become my greatest accomplishment. I have wrestled for NXT. I have wrestled for Impact. I have done a lot in the professional wrestling world, and I can say without a doubt, this book is literally the greatest thing that I have done personally in my lifetime.
Well, just to give you, say something like you said, like you could find things about yourself. There's things I do not want to know about myself.
Yeah, but the beauty of it is it's anonymous, so nobody would know.
I still don't want to know.
You're a bird. You're a turkey, bro. All right. So, Jorge, do me a favor. Take us out of here. We want to. Well, I was about to take us out of here before you could.
Go right ahead, brother. Go right ahead. Do something for a change.
Listen.
My back hurts.
Whoa! Stop with that. Do me a favor. You're the voice of Bodega. Please take us out of here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, and we want to thank Mr. Ryzin for his time, his breakdown of this book. Because April 1st, I'm definitely going to have to get the order into my phone and hopefully, have a date on the following day. Because I can't do it on April Fool's Day because then I'm going to be fooling myself. And I could have somebody read the book to me. So that'll be awesome.
After you read this book, you will be fooling with yourself. Trust me.
Exactly. So, and after that, I'm going to need napkins and some hand lotion. And hopefully be next to the tub so I can clean myself up after reading the book. So,
listen, I killed Chef while we did this.
Yeah,
as well.
so I heard.
Out from
My
God,
the dude basically just choked himself out by himself. Lord, now we already know who's excited for the book.
He'll be choking himself out
later after April 1st.
Hallelujah and Hail Ryzin.
Yes, so for Mr. Ryzin, for the boy Chef down in the mean streets of Day City in Florida, I am your quintessential Puerto Rican muffin, Jorge Luis Martinez. And don't forget to follow us at the Bodega Wrestling on Twitter. And like Mr. Ryzin said, I Hail Ryzin. And with that, we say thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.